Hello there and welcome to Weekly Tips. Today, as I promised, I want to show you a smiley generator that I recently made in VBA. It's not a very useful code, but even such projects can help you learn. But next week, I promise to share with you a more useful tool created in VBA. So, let's get started. On basic level, it's good to start with macro recorder. For smiley generator, I've selected Use Relative References, but what difference does it make? Let's try it on a simple example of filling B2 and B3 cells. First, I recorded a macro with absolute references. Then, I recorded a second version of this macro, but with relative references. And at last, third macro, also with relative references. Let's test those three macros. The first one, with absolute references, gives us always the same result. B2 and B3 are colored, no matter in which cell we were when executing the code. In the second one, something weird happens. Some cells are colored, but there aren't B2 or B3 or selected ones. In third one, always the selected cell and the one below is colored. And that's the difference between absolute and relative references. With absolute references, first example, we hard-coded the macro to perform actions on defined cells. With relative references, it's more fluent. In the third example, I selected B2 cell before recording, because with recording macro with relative references, active cell is a center of the universe, and all actions are relative to its address. Because of that, macro in example 2 doesn't work as expected, as it started in a different cell. And after that, B2 was selected. So it's a thing to keep in mind with relative references. So basically, if you want to have more universal macro, for example for formatting different cells, you should always stick with relative references. But now to the smiley generator. First, I've picked a name from a macro, and then I started drawing a smiling face using color fill on single cells. After that, I've changed column white to 3, and as you can see, it works quite well. It makes smiling face, starting with the left eye in selected cell. But also, that's the reason why it doesn't always work. In one line of code, we have to go one cell to the left from our starting position. And if we started somewhere in column A, we will get an error. Easy fix for that would be to start recording from one cell to the left of the left eye. And that's one of the things I made in the code that you are seeing right now. Another one is asking the user for the size of the smiley. And also, I've done some cleaning, because it's worth to notice that Macro Recorder is a great tool, but the code that it's make is not very neat or efficient. If you would like to see the process of getting the code from our prototype in Macro Recorder to presented stage, please let me know in the comments below. That's all for today. Thank you and see you next time.